Well, hello again, God's people at Grace. We have the opportunity to do another staff spotlight video today, this time with Kati Young. Again, we have people who are either entering into new positions of ministry here at Grace, changing roles at Grace, growing their roles here at Grace. And for Kati, she's one who has been here at Grace, and her role now is expanding at Grace, and God is calling her in different ways to do ministry. But before we get into all of that, as I like to always do before we talk about the ministry God's called you to, I like for God's people to get to know you. So would you just tell God's people a little bit about who you are, background, family, things like that?
Yeah. So my name is Kati Young, and I am indeed Christine's younger sister. So I am 26 years old. I was also raised outside of Chicago. Went to college out in Connecticut, worked in New York City for several years, and then made my way back to the Milwaukee area.
Awesome. If you've noticed, there's a little theme of we're bringing people from Illinois here to Wisconsin. So, except if you saw our third grade teacher who's from Green Bay, that came the other way.
Yeah, right. Of course.
So, God's taking you on a little bit of a journey since you've come back to Wisconsin, starting at Marquette and then to Grace. And would you just share with God's people how God has kind of led you on in the journey and what that journey's been like?
Yes. So I started here at Marquette University studying biological sciences, specifically studying neurodegenerative diseases like Huntington's disease, and really used that time at Marquette to reach out to people who didn't know Christ. And at the same time was being called to do a little bit of work for Grace with communications. And then throughout this past year, it's just been amazing to see God kind of reaching out and saying, hey, I know you love science, but I'm calling you into ministry. And what does that look like? And so I've kind of moved from science to doing part-time at Grace, part-time at science, to now full-time at Grace. And what does that look like? And what is God calling me into?
Good.
So yes, started full-time science, then went halfway, and then now both feet in, right? Dove right in.
And God takes us on a journey. It's always a journey to follow Him, and surprises along the way. He knows where we end up, but we don't always know that. So now tell us a little bit about then your role here at Grace, which you mentioned starting in communications, but now full-time is not full-time communications, so it has other things with it. So tell us a little bit about the communications part, and then a little bit about what else God has for you here at Grace.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I've done communications here for a while now, so that involves things like editing this video. It involves things like the Grace News that gets emailed and the Grace News that gets printed, social media, the website, the app, all of those types of things, different ways of communicating the ministries at Grace. So that's kind of one aspect. And then this new aspect that I'm being called into is helping to encourage and equip our small group leaders and our small group ministry. So different forms of adult discipleship along with women's ministry. So it's just a chance to kind of see adults take that next step in their journey of faith. And the leaders that will kind of be there helping them along the way.
Awesome. And blessed to have you in that role continue to do that as one of our main areas of ministry is adult discipleship, and we care deeply about our men and women here at Grace and growing and strengthening their relationship with Jesus through His Word and through small groups, fellowship, community that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really passionate about small group ministry because I do believe that God calls us to be in relationship with one another. And as we strengthen our relationship with Christ and we strengthen our relationship with one another, that's discipleship. That is growing in Christ. That's reaching out in love. And so it really is just a great opportunity. And I'd really encourage anyone to get involved with our small group ministry. There's always a spot for you to get involved and really to take that next step personally and relationally.
Cool. Well, the last question I always love to ask those who serve in the church, because as I've said in some of the other videos, sometimes people think that the only place that we ever exist is in the walls of the church or doing ministry, and that's our whole life. In fact, I'll sometimes go to the grocery store and people will go, "Oh, you're wearing regular people clothes," because we are regular people too.
Yes.
And so we have passions, we have things that we get excited about, we have hobbies and things like that. So what is that for you? What do you love to do when God calls you to be who you are outside of this ministry inside his church?
Well, I think many people who know me know that I have a 2-year-old mini golden doodle named Boaz. So a lot of my time is spent with him in dog parks, in nature preserves, making sure that he's as spoiled as possible. So my dog is definitely very important to me. I also love to travel, and I love spending time with friends. And I also really like music. So I love playing French horn. I love singing. So that's another important hobby that I have.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we just wanted you to get to know Kati. She's been here for a little bit. We've never done this kind of a video, especially now with the expanded roles. So you know what God has called her to here at Grace. If you have any questions for her, love for you to come and stop by. You will probably see Boaz with her, or when you just come to stop by. But what a blessing it is to have you in ministry and for us together to partner in ministry that God has called us to here at Grace. God's richest blessings to you as we serve the Lord together.